All right, welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving into the absolute majestic wisdom of the Mahaprajnana Paramita Upadesha, and we are unpacking the ultimate paradox of the spiritual hero. We're going to explore these incredible ancient texts that lay out a profound, almost razor-thin path between achieving absolute enlightenment on one side and maintaining a deeply human compassion on the other. And look, this isn't just abstract philosophy. It's actually a remarkably psychological guide to navigating the traps of the ego, because as it turns out, even ancient spiritual heroes had to worry about getting a big head. So here is our roadmap for today. 1. The paradox of emptiness. 2. Signs of true progress. 3. Navigating demonic illusions. 4. True versus false solitude. And finally, 5. The ultimate spiritual friends. Section 1. The paradox of emptiness. Journey into the void. Okay, let's kick things off with a massive concept, avavartika. This defines a state of unshakable spiritual momentum. Basically, an avavartika bodhisattva has reached this intense psychological threshold where turning back to ignorance or pettiness or selfishness is completely, fundamentally impossible. Their consciousness is just permanently altered. But here's where we find the core dilemma laid out in the text. They are experiencing the ultimate emptiness of reality. They literally see right through the illusion of the world, and yet they absolutely refuse to fully cross over into the peace of nirvana just yet. Imagine you've been climbing a mountain for countless lifetimes, right? You finally reach the peak, you see absolute paradise on the other side, and then you just firmly plant your feet and say, not yet, not until everyone else makes it. They are holding themselves right on the very edge of the void. To picture this, imagine a bird flying through the sky without ever touching the ground. Or an archer continuously firing arrows upward, each one perfectly striking the back of the previous arrow, keeping an entire line of them suspended in midair. I mean, you have to imagine that archer's shoulders are absolutely burning, right? It takes an immense, relentless effort. These metaphors represent the bodhisattva mastering emptiness, but intentionally refusing to land in the final escape of nirvana. They don't just float away into bliss. They are driven by this massive, gravity-defying vow to save all beings first. And that vow requires them to stay in motion. We all know what it's like to desperately want to escape a toxic or chaotic environment. Well, to bring this cosmic idea down to earth, the text compares this spiritual hero to a highly skilled warrior, a strong man, leading his family through a terrifying forest filled with thieves and poison. Because of his intense training and wisdom, he holds the ultimate exit ticket. He could easily escape the forest on his own and live in total peace, but he rips that ticket up. He uses his power not to flee, but to stay in the danger zone, fighting off the threats, taking the hits, just to ensure his entire family survives the journey. The bodhisattva actively chooses to stay in the perilous, poisonous cycle of samsara to protect everyone else. Section 2. Signs of True Progress. The Dream Motif. So you might be wondering, how does this hero know they're actually progressing, rather than just kind of imagining their own greatness? The ancient text tells us to look at their dreams. Because think about it, when you're asleep, your conscious, ego-driven defenses are totally offline. You really can't fake who you are in a dream. An advanced practitioner remains totally fearless even if they dream of their own violent death or wild beasts attacking them. They dream of profound truths being taught, and incredibly, their compassion is so deeply wired into their subconscious that they literally use their vows to extinguish the fires of hell in their sleep. They even realize, while dreaming, that the dream itself is just an illusion. Now you might think, well, if it's all a dream, why should I even care? It's a super common nihilistic trap in our modern lives. If nothing ultimately matters, why try? But for the bodhisattva, realizing reality is like a dream is the exact opposite of apathy. It sparks an immense, proactive vow. Because if reality is as fluid as a dream, it means we have the ultimate power to reshape it. They wake up from the dream of daily life and apply that exact same fearless, subconscious compassion to the waking world to clear the universe of suffering. They recognize the nightmare that others are trapped in, and they step in to wake them up. Section 3. Navigating Demonic Illusions. The Traps of Mara. Okay, so where there is great progress, there are great traps. The text gives a stunning psychological warning about the demonic force known as Mara. But here's the thing. Mara doesn't attack with terrifying monsters or pitchforks. He attacks with flattery. Mara is essentially the ultimate toxic yes man of the ancient world. He lays a 3-step trap. First, he bypasses your defenses by appearing in a trusted disguise, maybe as a revered monk or a really wise mentor. Second, he validates your ego, telling you that your past lives were incredibly pure and prophesying your future greatness. Third, and most dangerously, he induces an intense spiritual arrogance, making you feel intellectually and spiritually superior to all the ordinary people around you. This leads us right into the trap of the empty name. It's basically a massive ego trip. If a practitioner attaches to a prophesied title or spiritual status, believing they're destined for greatness, but lacks true, grounding wisdom, their ego just inflates massively. And the text is brutal here. Pay attention to this. This resulting arrogance, this looking down on others from your supposed spiritual heights, isn't just a simple mistake. It is condemned as a sin even worse than the 5 grave offenses. Clinging to spiritual status and letting it make you arrogant is a fatal poison that completely destroys the path.
Section 4. True versus false solitude, the illusion of isolation.
We all kind of naturally assume that isolation equals peace, right? But there's a really fascinating historical debate here. Mara, that deceptive force we just talked about, actually actively encourages physical isolation. He wants monks to hide away in deep forests and mountains, specifically to make them arrogant, to make them look down on those who live in noisy cities. But the true teaching frames this as a paradox. True solitude is strictly a pure, compassionate mind, free from lesser desires. You can possess true solitude in the middle of a chaotic, shoulder-to-shoulder subway commute, and lack it entirely while sitting completely alone on a silent, expensive mountain wellness retreat. The source text does not hold back here, at all. It fiercely calls out those who use their physical or spiritual isolation to fuel a superiority complex. If you think you're better than others just because you meditate in a forest, the text labels you a complete fraud, a thief in a monk's robes. And wow, it's a powerful, piercing question for all of us today. How often do we use our own self-improvement journeys, our reading, our wellness routines, to quietly judge those around us? The ego will happily hijack our attempts to escape it. Section 5. The Ultimate Spiritual Friends, Kalyana Mitra. So if our own ego, our dreams, and even supposed spiritual authorities can be manipulated by our own desires or by external illusions, who are our actual trustworthy friends? How on earth do we stay grounded when the path is this razor thin? The answer is both super surprising and incredibly practical. Yes, enlightened beings, Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and Arhats, are your friends. But the ultimate plot twist of the text? Your greatest guides aren't people at all. They are the practices themselves. The 6 paramitas, which are the perfections of character. Things like radical generosity, unwavering patience, and piercing wisdom. And the 37 limbs of enlightenment, the foundational daily practices. These active methods are your truest friends. And it gets better. The text beautifully declares that these methods and practices aren't just tools you casually pick up and put down. They are the literal parents of enlightenment. Think about the emotional resonance of that. Parents nurture you, correct you, and ultimately catch you when you fall. A lofty spiritual title won't catch you. An inflated ego certainly won't catch you. But the deeply ingrained habit of patience will. The daily practice of wisdom will. These are the mothers and fathers that actually give birth to our highest selves across time and space. When everything else gets confusing, you return to the practice. Conclusion. Returning to the burning house. Let's wrap this up. Spiritual or intellectual greatness is never, ever an excuse for contempt. True wisdom demands that we don't just fly away into the peaceful void. It demands that we step right back into the burning house of the world. This is a famous Buddhist metaphor. The world is on fire with suffering, and the hero's job isn't to escape the fire, but to run back in and pull everyone else out. So as you learn, as you grow, as you seek your own truth, I want to leave you with this to ponder. Does your pursuit of progress connect you more deeply to humanity? Or is it secretly isolating you in a fortress of your own arrogance?